Hello, and welcome back to Genshin Impact. Audible. I think I just made a huge mistake. I just ate something. Oh god. Anyway, let's go and heal up, and then I'll change my team. And we can go and read in peace. Let's read at Mount Swan Leon. There's a little pavilion there that I can just use. It's strange, the view here isn't the best, but looking over here is always the best. Anyway, I believe today we're doing equipment. We did books, we did living beings, and we did tutorial materials. What's in geography actually? Mondstadt, all done. New stuff. Maybe we'll read it too. Jade Mouth. The spring's cries ripple through the vales. The shrines depart from northeast shores. The heights and shallows in the southwest hide. Sun and earth from each other divide. The eternal whirlpool that never churns. Beautiful jade concealed within. That part didn't rhyme. The clouds cascade around the wharf. If one follows the Bishui River upstream, the prosperous merchant port built next to a vast waterfall will come into view. Hear the laughter of countless sailors and merchants, and the calls of people buying and selling on every street form a unique scenic tapestry here at Lie's northern edge. Valley of vibrant butterflies. An adeptus' abode, far from the din of mortal comings and goings. In the distant past, it is said that their ancestral peoples, who had lost their home due to war, were taken in by an adeptus named Fujin, and here did they avoid the disaster that raged without. Thus did the flame of civilization endure rather than be snuffed out under titanic floods. Yeah, save them all from floods. Herb Housing Hall. The Adeptus, once revered as the Herb Lord, has long since departed, and only empty medicinal containers remain. Even at war's very end, that desire to help those in need never once wavered. I think she was healing people at the Archon War, during the Archon War, Junction. Jade shall rise from sunken mouth. Gain and loss are inextricable. Rise and fall, inseparable. Wax and wane is but a dream. The river flows as it ever has been. Past glories of Wang Shan. In days gone by, when Guhua was at the height of its strength, various heroes from all walks of life would gather here, mingle and drink, and the sound of song would never cease. Though the school's reputation has since waned, its magnificent hall still stands, inscribed with the chivalry of yesteryear. Clear skies of a Swan Leon. The weighty winds blow. Yon day is dark. The cascading falls flow clear. Desolate foothill shrines. In the tales told by older folks, the ancestral peoples of Chenyu Vale migrated here from the far south, and they built a mighty ritual tower to reach the heavens, and left many mighty temples. The Jade Tower is no more, and only silent ancient ruins stand amidst the thick fog that shrouds the mountains. Watching over a secret none shall know. Now shall know. So there was a Jade Tower, which collapsed. Is there even a remnant of the Jade Tower? Trails of Lai Xin. Though stalwart stone may sink, it shall return rightly. Rightly? Chiwang Peak. In the long-forgotten mists of time, the ancestors of Chenyu Vale named this place the Hanging Garden. Once prosperous realms became divided into many tribes, and the tribes would later again unite into a prosperous realm. But the spirit veins of Chenyu Vale are as they ever were, gathering faithfully in this place. Hey, Candy. Artifact grinding pain. Well, yeah. But these days I don't actually grind for artifacts anymore. I just go for boss materials. And I just use those materials, those artifacts that I get passively in the strong boxes. Ancient Pact. Once this tree gets a bit larger, I'll pick its leaves and make some tea for all of you. I think that was the Herblot that said that. The blossoming warmth of Chaoying's sunlight. When the gentle spring sun and winds caress the mountains of Chenyu, there will the rich fragrance of tea be accompanied by the dance of the spirit-scent flower, just as in days past, drifting together through peaceful streets. You have fun in these domains? Bistree's twilight luster. The final jade fell from here, into the bottomless abyss. Here did the first wish become as but a river of smoke. Smoke? Looks more like fog to me. And that's it. Inazuma, is there anything new? Nope. Not now, Nouvelette. Chairman Audible. Source Water Nation. That's probably French. Source Water Nation. Justice reveals the truth. Evil shall be punished. Good shall be rewarded. You and I are but drops of water. Within the source water. Our original wishes carried into the depths of the rapid currents. Buried alongside forgotten notes and codes. Codes? Who sang this? And Olafontaine. Scenery within Elena's depths. The heart that was nearly awakened has now gone silent once more. Scenery within Elena's deepest depths. Nice to meet you. Oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale. Before there was law, sins already ran rampant above the waters. But without law, how can sins be forgiven in the name of sin? Yeah, before law, was it really sinning? Were you really committing sin? Fool me home. Beneath the verdant Beryl Mountains is the welcoming home of the Melugenes. Little homes of fantastic and odd design are omnipresent, leaving a deep impression. Though just who taught them these unique architectural styles? From Nouvelette. Ancient conch melody of yore. Of the once great empire of Remuria, today there remains but a lonely melody, once heard by multitudes, but long lost to mortal ears. Where dark tides echo. Where the spinner Jerusalem was born, just as a tiny chick that will one day become a soaring eagle is hatched from an egg, so our grand and radiant ambitions hatched in a dark and cramped place. The people of Boson are like the residents of the Fleuve Cinder, and from the history of these places, they understand that some things are worth being, and indeed must be, fought for, and bought by blood. Sunken glory. The once prosperous avenues and alleys have now vanished into the depths, along with all that was worthy of praise. Now only schools of fish parade through the promenades. along with the lonely sound of the tides. Court of Dew and Springs. This city alone stands above all waters. Oh, it's probably the highest city, right? Probably. Land of corroded shadows and tainted currents. A tainted shadow hidden beneath the clear waters of Fontaine, a place of rest for outcasts. Even the ashes and the dregs cast off by the sifting of the law all return to the same river. Sea-worn cavern, a jawbone as massive as a mountain that could seemingly drink in and spew forth the tides. It is difficult to imagine such a massive creature ever walking this world. Narcissan Croyd's kingdom. A long time ago, a long time in the future, in a place far, far away, there was the beautiful Narcissan Croyd's kingdom. In the future? Aragnez's whirling dance. In this ancient ballad, the knight searching for water most pure encountered the spirit here, and they embarked upon a journey of redemption together. 1,000 years pass like a dewy dawn, and whether laughter or tears, joy or sorrow, it all turns into a whirling, illusory dance, disappearing into a sea of applause. Star Wars reference? I guess it would be. In the not too distant future. In a place far, far away. View from Mont Automnequi. Celsa once painted the scenery here. From the Mont Automnequi, one can see the ridge of Elenas. Beneath the peaks and lakes, the homeland of the Melusines is hidden. The seaside village. Celsa once painted the scenery here. A beautiful seaside village whose peace and serenity evoke yearning for such a tranquil life in those who see it. Graveyard of ships. Following the white ironclad flagship, like tiny shimmering stars scattered through the velvet night, the battleships of the Armada sank into the bowels of the trench in their clash with the great beast. The surface and the depths are haunted by ghostly legends, but this makes it the perfect place to hide for those who seek secrecy. No. So this is one of the White Armada ships. I see. The remnant of brilliant wisdom. When excess intelligence and passion came together, research brought about results in a manner that surpassed everyone's expectations. Now, however, there remains no one to applaud that achievement. Now, there's still some people. The wreck of shattered dreams. When an ideal is destroyed, its most important responsibility is to hold its peace. However, some seem to believe that this burning energy serves some other purpose. Like keeping everything afloat? Archeum? Level 50 Eula. We're just gonna have to carry. A sea of exile. No matter what the sin, it shall eventually be lost to the waves like sand. The Copper Keep. A fastness of bronze and iron will collapse one day, but a city of law and justice will never fall. They're shitting on Remuria? Scattered references. The aftershocks of the incident could not completely destroy it. and it would continue to exist in a form contrary to its original design. Perhaps this might be considered a form of continuation as well. And the Healer Trail's made a Mecha Trail, though it doesn't work. At least not yet. Aranyes's watery weeping willow. In ancient times, the weeping willow of the lake was an object of reverence. All the water veins converge upon Aranyes, and the weeping willow flourishes or withers or withers when the waters are sweet or bitter. The land of the lake is the same. Shame, then, that omens only arrive in the same moon as calamity. The drunkard ship. A white ship that once glittered in the sun, has now utterly rusted away. There are as many tales to be found here as currency, but outlanders who would step inside are as few as the moon. So one, it's just me. A distant harbor, the main port leading to other nations. They say that there was once a plan to build a fourth aquabus line that would connect Alumidos Harbor and the Fontaine, but this plan died with the aquabus's most powerful backer, Master Kellis. Tower of Gestalt. This was once many things and many dreams. The world's amniotic fluid. This was once to be, again, the cradle for all life. Ah, I actually got everything. I thought I would have missed some stuff. But hey, that's pretty nice. Okay, equip. I'm not gonna read the weapons. I mean, I could, but... Let's go down the list. Yeah, I don't have Lion's Roar, don't have Black Cliff. Don't have Sword of the... Wolfang. I'm just missing a lot of stuff. So I don't bother with this. I mean, I could just open up the wiki and read it, but you know, where's the fun in that? Maybe. Anyway, we read artifacts, because at least I can get artifacts. All of them. Okay, it seems like we're up to Deepwood Memories. Yeah, there's no difference between these, I don't think. Let's see, Chenyu Vale's home. Chenyu Vale's home. Yeah, seems right. Have I actually read these? Flowing Rings. I guess I must have read it before. Anyway, Deepwood Memories. Labyrinth Wayfarer. When the Lord of the Forest was born, the King of Trees bestowed upon them a crown. This crown would finally pass to the first maiden who had followed in the Lord's footsteps. She once took in many children who had become lost in the forest, yet had not ever trodden upon any wild flowers. She only knew how to serve her liege and defend the labyrinth, and she knew that the world was naught but the dream of the forest. So she taught the ways of the hunt and the method of walking through dreams to the children. She taught that they must love the plants of the forest, for they belong to her liege's garden, that they must respect the creatures that fall under their arrows, for they are Lord's people. They are her Lord's people. Her teachings would pass amongst the lost children of the forest, and they would change much. Eventually, their origins would be forgotten altogether, but some people would become guardians who patrol the woods, returning to the world of humans and light bonfires in the deepest of nights to exorcise the shadows. There was one who remained and walked between the trees, eventually forgetting time itself amidst the hunt for wild beasts, becoming drenched in black blood. She was very nearly as ancient as the final lord of the forest, and at the last she dreamed a dream of the labyrinth and the hunt. This dream was so great and vast that it would cover every dream that was ever dreamed by the forest people. My God. The labyrinth, for its part, was the vast and endless hunting ground, where the roots of the trees and the lines drawn by the snaking streams were denser than the tiger's stripes. More changeable than the flowing water, the whispers that preached death became lost within this labyrinth. For only she and those things and those who understood the teachings of the forest Lord could pass through the maze and enter into the boundless hunting grounds. Till at last, when the whispers had faded and the wicked beasts had fled far away, did she, now fully eroded, disappear together with that grand dream. She and many fragments of dreams would at last flow into the dreams of human scions, like how a shattered mirror reflects many different images. The dreams she left behind are circulated through the narratives of the people in a myriad of forms. Those tales that became the widest spread, emerged victorious, had nothing at all to do with her. Her name, as mentioned in those tales, for example, was in fact the name of the crown. In the end, all she had left to herself was her true name, a handful of water and that reflected the moonlight, and the golden flower she had taken from the crown that her beloved king had given her. Her beloved king. Crown will finally pass to the first maiden who followed in her lord's footsteps. Flower of Life, Labyrinth Wayfarer. Scholar of Vines. Those were the years of the Lord of the Labyrinth. It is said that the most virtuous and visionary of the royal servants was a young girl who could understand the language of all beasts and read the poetry of moonlight. She guarded the silent forest, the still water that embraced the moon, and the endless hunting grounds at the very end of the dream forest. We were born in the verdant royal forest. Our duty is under the tree shade and above the meadow. That which comes from the forest must return to it. As long as we follow the laws of nature, then we shall not fear death. For all those who follow nature must pass through the maze of the forest and reach the endless plain. Her teachings once inspired many children, but like the blood of tigers, it too would slowly grow thin. Those were the years of the ominous moon. They say that the blind boy followed in the footsteps of his white-armored brother, traversing kingdoms, mountains, and rivers, at last became lost in the dark forest. He was obsessed with swordsmanship but was gentler than anyone. He was too dogmatic, but adhered to justice more than anyone. At the end of the everlasting white phantom in his heart, what he discovered was a relic of the woods, pure white as the moonlight. Later there came beasts that lusted after flesh and blood. When the huntress finally came to him, following the shimmering light of the white branches, he had already lost the power to make wishes, and the white form that once guided him had faded into darkness and disappeared. Those were the years when the night was on the rise. Those were the years when dawn was still far off. From the nightmare, the wires caught a glimpse of the dark longsword and the red blooming in the water. The white form that once guided him, is that Paimon? He lost the power to make wishes, or is that us? Probably not. A time of insight. The ancient legends say that the Lord of the Forest was immortal. as they at life's end would melt into the forest. Their claws would become metal and wood, and their stripes would become an endless maze, and their smoldering eyes would become the moon in both the sky and the water. All things that die will gain new life in some other form. All things that decay will sprout pure and tender new shoots. But those souls who had been destroyed by death, memories that are eternally lost, is there a place for them in the cycle of life and death? The soul is a void concept, and memories must one day return to the land. What is there to worry about if something that were always void were to fade away? Rather remind and support one another, such that everyone's image will be remembered forever. Thus shall we defeat the natural cycle of life and death, and preserve memory forever. Much later, the friends who had agreed to remind one another would be infected with the wicked disease of forgetfulness. According to the image of the three people and three spirits that had not been wholly forgotten, and the records and conjectures left behind by the mad scientist who was expelled by the academy. Oh, mad scientist expelled by the academy? Dottore. The dream had to be captured, along with the inhabitants of the forest who could control dreams, to remind that friend once again of one's own form and the memories that were shared. If the organ that governs memory has taken too much damage and cannot be healed, then bring another old friend and dwell in dreams of the past together. Play in a small treehouse and explore the limitless depth of the jungle. Yes, that would be nice as well, for in dreams everyone has a chance to start over. But first, those dreamed spirits must be captured. Those sellswords once did much for me. I trust they will not disappoint this time either. So Dottore forgot. And so he's trying to remember, is that it? So it should be Dottore that's saying this. Thus shall we defeat the natural cycle of life and death and preserve memory forever. Lamp of the Lost. It is said that when the Lord of Folly was destroyed by his own ambition, the kings of the desert arose as one and fell just as quickly. Many tiny tyrants would marshal refugees fleeing the cataclysm, and they would build temples, palaces, and high walls where once stood ancient ruins. The ruined cities would be devastated each after the next, and despots of old stripes, boasting of power and wealth for a time, would rise and fall all too quickly. This oil lamp belonged to one of the young princes of the decaying kingdoms, and was one of the remaining treasures hidden away in his trove. Father ascended the tower in pursuit of a falcon, and the ancient structure could not bear his great weight, casting him into the boiling quicksand. Thus did our kingdom's days come to be numbered, and I too was dragged into pointless conflicts, tossed this way and that on the waves of treachery. In those days, I too had someone to love. She longed to be queen, but did not concern herself with the identity of the one seated on the throne. And so it was that I lost my love, for my life and my seal. I closed her lips with a viper's kiss, and buried her in quilts of sand. Later, just as it happened to all other kingdoms, in living memory, threats from without and foes from within would arise. Kith and kin, slaves and pariahs, would be at each other's throats. Scarcity and strife, those two deformed twins, would dance wildly amidst these burning, godless sands, burying ourselves within their mirage. And so did the kingdom within the searing sand return once whence it came, and the once affluent prince became a penniless refugee. With the wish to conquer new lands burning in his breast, he set out for the rainforest with what little wealth he had left on his person. But much later, the prince who wished to inherit the woodland, like a rich tiger, would himself be conquered by the quiet moonlight. He was drawn to the powerful form of the huntress with the white bow, and in being pursued and expelled each night, the homeless prince slowly understood the murmurs of the trees and the whispering of the tigers, and was accepted by the beneficent dream. Well, isn't that a fine tale? A noble force from their home, who finds destiny and glory once again. Yon golden slumber summons thee, wandering sand. Golden slumber. Laurel Coronet. There is a time appointed for all things to live and die, and the cycle continues on forever. Thus did the ruler of trees once preach through the cycle of life. All things that die will gain new life in some other form, and all things that decay will sprout pure and tender new shoots. Fruits that fall upon the land will feed the beasts of the land, and the beasts will return to the land and themselves become fruits. The forests were always full of life. Legend has it that when the a god of trees, created a forest amidst the sands, the first order of the day was to create a device that could call forth the rains. Thus did the bright moon reflect the patterns of light from the labyrinth upon the water, and from this was the tiger born. The tiger's stripes were ever changing, resembling the forest branches, and thus did it become the ruler of the jungle. His name was Viagra. Viagara. The blessed lord of the forest walked amidst the garden, head held high, ruling over the primates, the birds, and the beasts of the labyrinth. Later, the seeds of the pomegranates fell upon the soil and gave birth to the forest spirits. Thus did the lord of the forest bless them under the first Visara tree, and made a pact with the divine, to share the labyrinth with them, and to command the birds and beasts not to harm them. Though the sun's light was shrouded for a time, the flowing water was once corrupted, and the final forest lord died in defense of the nurseries of life. A large whiskered cat succeeded that regal name, and guarded the woodland creatures in imitation of that lord, though it could not match even an iota of that lord's might. It would keep the promise and protect the forest, nor would it ever attempt to harm the guardian spirits of the trees. Yes, though the ever-changing labyrinth was perished, the forest is still filled with life. I'm getting like some Nahida Rukadavada vibes from it. It wasn't saying their names explicitly. Rather implicitly. Anyway, Gilded Dreams. Dreaming still bloom. In the golden slumber no one shall have to ingest a single drop of bitter water. The ancient legends tell of 3 inseparable friends. Actually, yeah. One of them would wither like a rose and come to rot in the mud. The kingdom of flowers would be ground down to a mere tale by sandstorms, becoming a dream in a song. One of the friends would create a great, heretofore unseen oasis in a corner of the desert. Another would use up all their strength and intellect to build an eternal illusion in the sands. No one should have scars carved upon their faces due to sorrows and partings. Unseen oasis. When the moon leaves your palm, and the lonesome silver light retracts from atop the labyrinth on the sand ocean, one hopes that you will remember how your companions in the dream shone like the burning sun. Thus does obsessive remembrance arise from the burning new world like the smokeless flame. Thus do those who look to the past with one eye, and to a world of dreams with the other become lost. Thus did he turn his gaze upon the wisdom of the depths, and inclined his ear to honeyed whispers. Feather of Judgment. In the new world everything shall be good. In ancient times the edict of the high heavens descended into silence, and the land lost its master. The past, one of civilization and ease. The past, one of civilization and ease, was abandoned, submerged in choking darkness. Later the law, which even time could not reverse, would once again take the measure of all life in the desert, a feather to weigh hearts, and molten metal to measure divine wisdom, both ruling with selfless rationality, obeying the judgment of the God King. The law rooted in blood would be carved upon the desert paradise, and when the ideals of governance were twisted by deep sorrow, the dignitaries became abettors, ignoring the palace foundations even as they gradually sank into the quicksand, moving forward to get toward an insane, lightless future. All betrayals must be mercilessly judged, and the judgment must be utter devastation. Later, the rules would be corrupted by pride and become shackles, and the unfortunate citizenry would have their destinies chained by their God King's choice. His sunken years. The vision of gold will appear in its most ancient form. In the beginning, the various tribes lived alongside the sands, their bloodlines connected to the earth. They followed the law of blood and feared the memory of famine that ran deep in that blood. Later, time swept across the land like gravel, and the God King rose up as a result, casting a long shadow. In that forgotten era, the gods shaped the land, creating oases and flowing springs. Following the God King's example, the tribes would build high walls, thrones, and gather in prosperous feudal kingdoms. Imitating the God King's appearance, the feudal states also record the days long past when they had kings and priests. In those days, the wise kings received oracles from the high heavens, and the land knew not the meaning of disaster. The king shall, in wisdom, revive the golden past, and stop the sands of time with divine power untrammeled. Indeed, the golden age of the king of the ocean of sand, and the sand people would come at last. Yon golden slumber summons thee, wandering sand. In it there shall be neither sorrow nor parting. Honeyed Funnel Feast. I remember this. The joys of plenty must end in bitterness, and sweet memories must fade like a cloud. In the beginning, the banquet belonged to the mistress of flowers and moonlit nights. Authority was in the hands of the Desert King, and life was the domain of the keeper of plants. Like the bright silver moon, the blazing golden sun, and the emerald fields, the three god kings made themselves earth-bound friends. In those days, the moonlight would tell of their happiness in the nightingale and the rose, and they were so frightened and abashed they could sing no song in response. Peace and ease reigned, and there was no division or misfortune in this warless paradise. If only these wonderful days, as lovely as a shimmering mirage, could last for eternity, and that they should never have to taste the bitterness of parting. Later, time sundered the contract between day and night, destroying the ancient oath. The gentle moonlight sank into the quicksand. The sun shrouded all things in its fearsome gaze. The priests and the people who had enjoyed the divine feast once remembered that wondrously brief time. But dreams are but prey for reason, to be thrown into lifeless machinery and ground into nothingness. And from the heart of the machine, within the dark nightmare, a new intelligence shall mold. Meld all thoughts into one, and let all calculations be unified. Thus shall humanity become the Lord of Lords and the God of Gods. So went the dirge for that most lonesome King of Kings, for whom the Gilded Sands had long divined failure. They already knew it would fail, but they still want to do it. They want to meld all thoughts into one. The Golden Slumber. Shadow of the Sand King. The ruler shall come with light that blazes like the sun, and will take from the people the crown woven from rose thorns. The first divine pillar descended from the skies, burying tree and meadow under the flowing sands. The golden sun fell, then rose again, clothing the sea of sand in an opulent death shroud. So it brought forth the sands. Yeah, this the Celestia pillar, the nail. It destroyed whatever vegetation there was and replaced it with sands. Later, the venomous winds of time disturbed the slumber of the fallen, attracting nostalgic delusions. In that accursed time, many cities thrived atop fertile oases, following the ideals of the God King, and the priests would rule the utopias justly, spreading abundance everywhere. Once the wise mortal king and the clergy received divine oracles personally, and they were the masters of the land. Today, those who rule as proxies in the oases are the shadows of the gods. The royal regalia and divine scepters are scattered across the land like jujubes. And under the shade, the subjects could live and seek. Sometime later, absurd decisions would be issued alongside illusory madness, using lovely expectations as bait to lead the people towards a bitter end. Nice. Desert Pavilion. What's done with Sumeru? Well, actually, this also Sumeru. This also Sumeru. Now 4 more and then Sumeru's done. Anyway, I'm gonna begin with this. Okay, this labyrinth wayfarer, flower of life. This lovely gold-plated flower was plucked from the crown of the ruler of the forest. Skull on vines, an emerald leaf as fluffy as a feather, plucked from the raiment of a forest scholar. Time of insight. Such timepieces are used by those who dedicate themselves to the way of the wise. These timepieces do not contain lifeless sand, but instead play host to tiny mustard seeds. Lamp of the Lost. This was originally an oil lamp in the style of the desert realm, but has since sprouted fluorescent green leaves. Laurel Coronet. This crown was bestowed by the deity, with dominion over plants and trees. It was an heirloom of the royal house of the labyrinth. It was at last made the inheritance of the king's attendant. Dreaming Steel Bloom, a flower bud made of hammered dark gold. Its crimson core is wrapped by petals that shall never open. Feather of Judgment. This special feather was once used to weigh the hearts of the guilty, and but it has since lost its original function. Oh, it's too late now. The sunken years. This dark golden sundial seems to tell the ancient tale of the desert. Honeyed final feast. A wine cup that was once used at a grand and ancient feast. It has now lost much of that luster. Shadow of the Sand King. This gold inlaid headband was once used by desert priests in the days of old. They were made in imitation of ones worn by a legendary ruler of the desert peoples. The first days of the City of Kings. Let's read these little descriptors first. An artificial flower that shimmers with a strange light. If you incline your ear to it, you can vaguely hear charming laughter issuing from within. End of the Golden Realm. A crystal clear artificial feather that is one of the legacies of an ancient human realm. The cries of soaring eagles are also sealed within. Timepiece of the Lost Path. An ancient mechanical clock. The genie fragments continue to emit light at its center and vibrate ever so slightly, as if to say something. Defender of the Enchanting Dream. An ancient golden cup that is both marvelously and luxuriously wrought. Murmurings can be heard within its empty innards. Legacy of the Desert Highborn. Earrings made from amber gold that shines with a strange light. The first days of the City of Kings. Fallen noble, please heed this man so old and blind. Heed the lessons of Gurubad. Heed the evanescence of the flowers made by man. Heed the king of common birth, and the mad love and boiling fury possessed by the jinn. And don't fuck with Lillipar. Legend has it that the Lord of the Sands made a pact with humanity after the passing of his lover, with the jinn as his envoys. Only those who possess hearts of iron were untainted by the allure of corruption, could serve as a vassal king and guide the people, like a shepherd tending to a flock. Just like that, under the merciful yet stern gaze of her master, the genie found her choice. Almost, a young shepherd at the time, fell in love with the lily-born Lillipar. I shall grant you 100 generations of blessings, at the price of sharp retribution and the spilling of red wine. For the mad love that we jinn possess is chained to greed and want, and carries with it self-deigned retribution. Yet beneath the light of the moon, Almost failed to take heed of these warnings. It was as if such fated punishment was still far from this valiant youth. Under the guidance of the genie, the young shepherd became the leader of his nomadic clan, and as time went on, Almost defeated his divided rivals and found himself crowned the vassal king. Gurubad bloomed like a man-made flower in a cliff wall, becoming the capital of the mortals. Once a shepherd, Almost had now become the vassal king, proxy of the Lord of the Sands. Yet even as the flowers bloomed and the fragrance filled the air, who would have thought that the most bitter and violent demise was to follow the most vibrant bloom? Following the old tales told to him by his master, Cephas began his journey to the City of Sapphires, toward the lessons buried beneath the sands of yesteryear, which he would in future find repeated as the winds of infinite time blew. End of the Golden Realm. Young wanderers, please heed this man so old and blind. Heed the runes of Gurubad. Heed the culmination of a delusional dream. Heed the jewel that shines like a dome of stars, and heed the Riven states. Towering spires and golden temples were swallowed by a raging tide, and the halls and palaces became the abodes of the ragged poor. The infuriated mob followed the will of one wearing a brass mask. While those with wisdom proclaimed this happening, the Great Plague, Gurubad, fell to this Black Plague. Great Plague. Gurubad fell to this Black Plague, and Lord of the Red Sands fell upon the path of self-destruction. Lilupar, born to lilies, found herself repaid with a split soul after falling victim to a plot most insidious. While the vast and fertile kingdoms collapsed in the sands overnight, tribes and kingdoms began the tumult anew. From there, the people of the desert oases divided themselves into 7 states, with the city of sapphires, Tula, being one of the greatest. I think I have lived long enough to bear witness to more than my share of short-lived fools and villains. When I was young, the gilded walls once shouted the sapphire domes like waves covering the moon. In the days of my youth, the canals of Tula shone like a luminous lattice, their lights jewelling the moon for dominance. Now I have been stripped of sight, and yet I must witness nobles falling to slavery, princes cast down by slave soldiers. Now I can no longer see, and yet I speak of dignitaries assassinating the wise and foreign dancers seizing power. Nations live and die as if in a drunken dream. The beloved and vile alike are all crushed under the weight of a mill, like wheat husks. The Sapphire Sea is wreathed in the fog of lies, which go on to become legends and history. In a general, once the conqueror of countless cities, was left with but a slave to guide the way. While the young slave bore the key to restoring their homeland, the king who died absurdly because of a hunting falcon was left with bloodied knife marks along his throat, and the dancer who made a vow to the prince cared only for the hatred she felt toward the tyrant. Mortal hands were molded into the shape of a falcon, and the broken genie was infused within it. From the cliffs of Gurubad, it rose with a cry, sailing past the pitiable desert states, finally arriving in the hands of gilded descendants, the lost memories flaking off like sand. The man-made feather lay upon a dune, silently proclaiming the end of nations. Through an aged voice, the lost prince recalled the palace burning in his homeland. His master at the time had been a general and a poet, loyal to the tyrant who ruled his nation. All things will have their rewards and repercussions. One was stripped of sight, the other of their throne. While all the while, the grinding wheel of fate spun onward, scattering broken hopes across the world. Timepiece of the Lost Path. Mother! Born old, and with unfathomable power supported by a shattered consciousness, neither knowing the sweetness of milk nor tasting the warmth of the womb, with tears made steam by the glaring sun and momentary joys fed to the crushing turn of years. We come not from loving union, but from hatred and alienation. Mother! We are without pride, and lack any wisdom to boast of. There is no space for which we can exist, no leisure offered to us as rest. Our voices have been replaced with copper tubes, and our swollen stomachs lack an umbilicus. To the mother who never bore us, may pestilence and woe fester in your every moment. Mother! What are we but soulless machines, slaves amongst jinn? We have no names, nor has anyone ever heeded our cries. Our vessels We're carved into shape by vicious torments. Hatred fuels us. This gathering hates. This gathering hate builds within, creating the desire to destroy. In the name of the moon's bright, disfigured face, we make this final pledge. May the sands chip through your withered lungs. May all that is green be scorched to ashes. And at last, we shall break the chains that have bound us since our inception. And we will return to the embrace of our unjustly tormented birth mother, Shirin. Defender of the enchanting dream. Travelers here to sup from the oasis. Please heed this man so old and blind. Heed the dirge of Gurubad. Heed the enrapturing dreams of King Deshret. Heed the disloyal souls, and heed a betrayal between companions. Legend has it that when the Lord of Flowers passed, her countless jinn turned to serve King Deshret. King Deshret searched in vain for the ancient paradise, where the divine needle fell. Ancient paradise where the divine needle fell. So did the divine needle maintain this ancient paradise? And there created an eternal oasis. So used the needle's power to create an eternal oasis. Among the greatest jinn was one named Fergis, granted governance of the oasis by King Deshret. To protect her mistress's slumber, she once used her powers to keep the spring ever flowing. And so she spread greenery across the desert like stars in the sky, providing sanctuary to folk who had lost their homes. Later, under the guidance of the genie Lulupar, the vassal states of the mortal kingdoms built their cities around the eternal oasis, bearing loyalty to the Lord of Flowers and compassion for the newborn realms. Fergis decided to make a sacrifice. Disobeying the charge given to her by King Deshret, the great genie caged her own body in shackles of frost, turning herself into a seal in the shape of a crystalline cup, restraining the wrath of the vast sands, guarding the cities of the mortals with her immobile form. But there is a season for all things, and thus all things must change. As we lean on each other today, so too will we abandon each other tomorrow. To lose the freedom which the jinn are so proud of, and a vessel that can partake in joy and love, to feel the diminishment of one's spirit by the day. The nymph of the water lilies drew mortal kings into her machinations with honey-tinged lies, and the Lord of the Sands sank deep into a dream of madness. But I have long been waiting, always waiting, in a sleepless dream, waiting for the King of Sand to fulfill his ancient promise. Mind and body festooned with wretched machinery, she awaits the end of her mistress's slumber, bearing a sullen hope as she silently guards the broken dreams of this empire of sand. Even should the spring be mixed with bitter gravel, even if the oasis is swallowed by sand, even amidst the eternal pulsing of machines, she listens for the coming of the footsteps that will bring change. My teachers, so sightless. I was born into a slave's chains, and had everything taken from me when I was young. Might I, abandoned by the fates like the dunes of sand as I was, be worthy of a change in my fortunes? So the King of Sand, or Deshret, wanted to revive the Mistress of Flowers, or the Goddess of Flowers. And that's why Fergis was waiting for so long. Legacy of the Desert Highborn. Merchant sheltering from the storm, please heed this man so old and blind. Heed the past of Gurubad. Heed the retribution its people sought for themselves. He, the newborn nobility, and the peasants who dwell beneath the palace. Legends say that when Gurubad rose, the kingdoms of man joined many oases into one. At this time, the scattered tribes and the short-lived states obeyed the will of Ormazd alone. Ormazd took the Lord of the Desert as his Lord Patron, constructing palaces and temples to facilitate his worship. Slaves were taken from the tribes, servitude was demanded from states, and sacrifices were required of the cities. The city thrived, and nobles and slaves alike lived in its shade. Peering down from on high at the priests and servants below, scurrying like ants, the genie concubine could only sigh mournfully. As an attendant of the goddess of flowers, she believed she had chosen the ideal king, but didn't wish for him to be addled by vanity. So the genie offered gentle advice between the sheets, vainly trying to change the king's mind. Ormazd took the conventions of rule and slavery as a given, regarding her words only as the soft nothings of a lover. I ignored her. To infuse love into my vessel was to be in constant company with everlasting and ever-demanding wants. The search for a dream, for a homeland, and for my beloved to transcend mundane ideals. But now my beloved is deep in the throes of hypocrisy and greed. He has taken on the habits of an ordinary tyrant. To quell my fury at this betrayal, I will impose upon you 3 generations of ruination. Silently, the genie removed the earrings he had given her as a sign of her resolve. A poisonous scheme already manifesting in a heart turned cruel. Siphos, my child, hate brings everything like wildfire, leaving only the ashes of madness. Yet uncontrolled love is even more feral. A great many evils are born from unshackled love. No. And she cursed her children. Good dang. Anyway, a flower of paradise lost. Aeconom's myriad. An amethyst bloom that has been beautifully sculpted in the image of an ancient extinct flower. Oh shit. Yeah, that was to be expected. Wilting feast. A feather left behind by a long-extinct bird species. It was inlaid with gold and gems by the ancient adherents of the goddess of flowers. A moment congealed. These sands no longer move no matter how you tilt the hourglass, now and forever defying the drift of time itself. Well, it's time to replace that sand. Secret Keeper's magic bottle. A small bottle made of purple crystal. An emerald cap keeps it tightly sealed. Amethyst crown. A crown inlaid with amethyst and emerald. It seems to have been the headgear worn by ancient priests of the goddess of flowers. Aeconom's myriad. In a bygone time which only the Jinn recall, the Lord of Flowers was cast aside by the heavens. Her magnificent vessel was left a savage husk, her kinsfolk punished by way of being stripped of their minds. Silly. I guess that's where they got it from. Legend has it that the Lord of Flowers wandered the barren waste for 72 nights. Her heels were worn through by the merciless gravel. Her wounds gushed into limpid springs, turned into streams with no boundaries. Thence, those streams flowed into verdant gardens, from which sprouted night blue water lilies. Water lilies are the mothers of the Jinn, and the Jinn were birthed from intoxicating dreams and the bitter memories of loss. The first Jinn were creatures of wisdom. They indulged in innocent dreams and love just as sweet. To thank their creator, the infantile Jinn took their mistress by the arm and granted her a laurel wreath of wild chrysanthemums.
O Lord of Flowers, Master of the Garden, we beg of thee, stay, leave us not. Yes, please dream, Mother. Mistress of Forgetting and Wine, we beg of you, remain queen of this garden.
And as so, detained by the gentleness of the Jinn, the exiled goddess remained in this garden of flowers. Gorgeous purple flowers bearing semblance to the moon bloomed wherever she stopped by. They were named Padisara. Wilting Feast. In a bygone time which only the Jinn weep, the mistress of oases made a final choice. At that moment she learned that her fate was no riddle, but the key to opening a mysterious doorway. Through King Deshret's words and aspirations, she saw the possibility to transcend the absurd shackles that govern this world. Rejecting the gift granted by the divine throne, the Red Crowned King sought a new path of his own volition. Though the future she revealed was ruinous and bleak, the king refused to yield an inch, even knowing that the journey was to be fraught with peril, even knowing those dearest to him were certain to fade before his very eyes. The Red Lord chose a noble lie, shepherding his followers on a path toward oblivion.
You seek but to chain the winds. Upon the tombstone of divinity shall humanity become the god of gods. Such a carefree dream was certain to be unmade. In ruins, where lies were sundered, humanity will become the king of kings.
The Lord of Flowers capitulated to her friend's folly, finding a most admirable rebellion burning within the ambitions of the god. An idea that joined the wisdom of thousands and the great attempt at binding their dreams to power. What hides here is more than lies, but also the future of humanity, burning like the sparks of hope. Dreams will always dissolve, their landscape faded to collapse. This is the true meaning of the blooming flowers. Only by suffering through the destruction of a god's delusions can humanity learn to rise against divine will. Just as the stubborn god king orchestrated this secret rebellion, surviving on the strength of individual will alone. However, the Lord of Flowers never knew a love that could be as sweet as wine, let alone the paltriness of human emotion. Brilliant as she was, even she could not easily predict that these little beings would finally realize the truth.
Have these so-called gods not been superfluous to you since the beginning?
A moment congealed. In a bygone time of which only the Jinn could sigh, the Lord of the Desert built a cemetery for his beloved. With the gems beneath the deep sands as a power source and the aid of the Jinn, he built an eternal oasis. Eons later, the legend of the eternal oasis spread amongst the wandering tribes of the desert. Wanderers claim that it is a place of ever-flourishing greenery, ruled by the slumbering goddess of flowers. Wanderers say that Ferigis, last mother of the Jinn, guards the grand gates to the oasis, blessing every mortal that comes before her with unwavering tenderness, be they good or ill. The matriarchs of the Tanit, Uza, Shimti, and other tribes besides all refer to themselves as daughters of the flower goddess. With faith as their foundation and united by blood, they are further joined by mutual imaginations of the fabled Padisara garden. The scattered, struggling tribes of the desert seek the eternal oasis and endless knowledge. Just as the prophecy lives by their goddess foretold, even after the scouring of civilization, humanity yet survives by their tenacity, even deprived of the guidance of gods, even if they were forced to unite by the memory of a goddess long dead.
This tear-sated desert of salt has been made unable to halt humanity's tread, unable to stop them from searching for the mortal lie that is the eternal oasis. My lord, why do you command the dunes to stop flowing? Why do you bray at the winds to stop them from blowing? Just like this hourglass, should these crystal sands mingle into a congealed whole? What would be the meaning of its existence then? Eternity is no paradise, but something that is nigh impossible to deconstruct. An obstinate stain that cannot be mended. Those who bloom like flowers, die like flowers, and rise again with the seasons like flowers can never be troubled by the likes of death. Once in a moment in time, the three companions engaged in idle chatter, their words seized by the flowing winds of the desert and carried across the annals of time. Somewhere in a faraway desert, the imaginings of a time-petrified oasis remains in the minds of a tribe. Yet these rootless wandering people continue the cycle of life and death amidst the flowing sands of the dunes. Eternal Oasis. Secret Keeper's Magic Bottle. In a bygone time, on which the Jinn alone are silent, King Deshret poured his deepest ambitions out before the Lord of Flowers. As the moonlight's visage drifted across ripples within a glass of pomegranate wine, the Lord of Flowers finally succumbed to the persuasion of a friend most beloved. The words King Deshret spoke that night remain unknown to all, except even the eldest Jinn bestow only silence when asked about that which was said. None know what secret desires King Deshret revealed in the dark past daylight, desires that might shock even the wisest of gods. But the Lord of Flowers herself drew enlightenment from the exchange. It had been within her calculus, something long foreseen. The desert and oasis were sovereigns most high, yet held wild thoughts of rebellion the most strongly. What, they want to rebel the most? I shall keep your secrets on account of the feelings my heart holds for you and the Lord of Wisdom. I shall fashion you a bridge to allow you to slake your deepest wants, but you must fear not the crystalline sapphire nail. I will deliver you unto higher knowledge, but as I have warned, you are fated to lose much in this exchange. Nevertheless, hide my lesson in your heart. Remember the punishment that once was inflicted on the fallen envoys of heaven. Know this, if there is to be hope in this world, it will be found kindling within mortals most ordinary. Wreathed in darkness, she guided her dearest friend toward the path of understanding all there was to know about the skies and the abyss. Using her body as a conduit and offering the oasis in trade, she let the dazzling radiance consume her to see his deepest desires to be made manifest. Sandstorms swept in revelrous havoc across the paradise that was now missing one of its gods, folding the skies with yellow sand, swallowing all in calamity. King Deshret returned from the swirling sands that devoured the skies. The Lord of Flowers, however, was never seen again. I just dreamed of you, feeling your way through the walls of a crystalline maze. All that can be seen is but sand. Okay, so the goddess of flowers, used up her life to give all this knowledge to King Deshret, which might actually be forbidden knowledge. Anyway, Amethyst Crown. In a bygone time of which only the Jinn sang, the Lord of Flowers once met the King of the Red Sands. In an age where kings vied against one another for power, King Deshret allowed his throne to be shared with two others, The Jinn bequeathed the throne inlaid with emeralds and rubies to celebrate the union between the three friends. In honor of the eternal oasis and the flourishing Pardasaras, the Lord of Flowers wore an amethyst crown. But eternity is ultimately a lie. Intoxication and love could only grind memories down to broken dreams. You once asked me why I always sigh. Tonight, while the moon is bright, let me speak to you of things long past. It was a faraway time of calm and peace. Divine envoys spoke openly with the people then, bringing them the word of the heavens, from the heavens. But in time, invaders descended from beyond the firmament, bringing with them destruction, overturning rivers, spreading plagues, and though the invaders brought war to my former kin, they also brought about illusions that could break through shackles to the land. But the Master of the Heavens, consumed by fear for the rising tide of delusion and breakthroughs, sent down the divine nails to mend the land, laying waste to the mortal realm. We then suffered the torment of exile. Stripped was our connection to heaven, to our powers of enlightenment. Since the disaster, I have long been cursed to never again look upon the heavens. It is my fortune that I have been able to maintain myself till now. But my home calls to me nigh constantly, even as the disaster between the stars and the abyss grows ever emergent on the surface of the crystals. Heed my warnings, seek not the Master of the Four Shades, and inquire not on the mysteries of the sky and the abyss. Otherwise, as shown by the nail of retribution, certainly calamity and sorrow shall follow. However, King Deshret agreed with the warnings of his partner, silently swearing his intent to transgress. Wiping clean the tears of his companion beneath the moon's gaze, he spoke then of his own desires to the Goddess of Flowers. So home was probably Celestia. Yes. Master of the Four Shades. Crying out the mysteries about the sky and the abyss. Let's see, that's where the lore divers got their info from. It is from Flower of Paradise Lost. Anyway, to the nymph's dream is Odyssean flower. This story must end, and even fresh flowers will wither, but the flower within one's dreams will always remain in full and fragrant bloom. I think in this stream I'll finish off all of Samira's one, and maybe in the next stream I can do all Fontaine's one, even though the new patch will probably begin then. Wicked Mage's Plumal. This was once a decorative feather in someone's hat. Being dark green, it is quite eye-catching indeed. Nymph's Constancy. A pocket watch that has long stopped working. It seems to have borne witness to many a passing year, as its hands spun in vain. Hero's Tea Party. A lovely teacup. Perhaps it was once used by people enjoying a leisurely afternoon together. Fell Dragon's Monocle. An exquisitely made monocle. Ancient anecdotes say that one might be able to see the future through it. Odyssean Flower. But in the end, a shadow still fell over the kingdom. It was not that the dragon defeated the hero, but rather that they both became lost in the world. Amidst the chaos as thick as lightless dark waters, amidst the sorrows and the partings that followed, the director and her sisters set out on a journey to defeat the evil at its source, and her assistant in turn boarded the ship built for battle, eventually slumbering beneath the waters. Then Narcissan champions and many knights, evil dragons, and virtuous sages were scattered. Some would be taken in by the Marchese Phantom or the Special Security and Surveillance Patrol, and they would work to protect the realm such that it would not again have a shadow cast over it. Some were taken in by explorers, moving to and from foreign lands, and from then on would surely set out on an adventure to witness the edge of the world. Many years would pass after that. Some would try to prevent future tales from ever being stopped by such events as these, and so would seek out the path ahead using the secrets of machinery and bodies of steel. Some, on the other hand, would go against the grain, so that the stories might begin again, embarking on a journey beyond normal comprehension in the name of the nymphs. Nymphs. And just as how some people treasure withered flowers, some still reminisce endlessly of the afternoon adventures that have yet to continue. Wicked Mage's Plumal. Where there are heroes, there must be wicked mages, and where there are knights, there must be evil dragons. The hero would always wield a holy blade, while the mage might carry some kind of magical catalyst. In the interstice between adventurers, when the heroes and mages and knights and fell dragons had yet to be born, they would always gaze upon the feather of an unknown bird species pinned to the vice director's hat. That feather must hold many secrets within it. A little adventurers thought to themselves, and the vice director must have witnessed many tales, like an old heroine after her seclusion. Why would even the director, who had promised to procure the feather for us, ever be able to take it off? Now, blank blank, do get along, don't fight. The two who would always play the knight and the fell dragon nodded reluctantly. Renee and Elaine. And when I'm not around, blank, you take care of blank, won't you? Elaine, you take care of, forgot his sister's name, won't you? The director and I will be back once we have finished attending to business, so don't go running outside. The vice director thought for a moment, and plucked the dark green feather from her hat before departing. You've wanted this for a while, haven't you? Who should give it to you? Alright then, here you go. But I'm only giving this to you for safekeeping for a while, alright? I'll be quite cross if it gets dirty. Prodded Renee. But in the end, this feather would never become the mystical staff used by some evil mage. It would instead follow its new owner and reach the source of that which caused the calamity of parting, before returning to from whence it came. Nymph's Constancy. The hands of a timepiece must eventually return to their original places, and their circle will begin anew. All that the Narcissan champions were seemed as if they would never change, but the years must ultimately grind down the intricate yet vulnerable calibers of such timepieces, until such a time when a new day will not come, indeed where nothing will. This pocket watch was originally owned by a tiny champion who loved machines, Elaine. A test piece created by piecing together the rejected components of various devices. At the very end, this pocket watch and the one it had been gifted to fell into the primordial liquid that dissolves all. But it had already long ceased to run its clockwork course by that point. A long, long time ago in the future, in a place far, far away, there was a dark empire ruled by the fell dragon Narcissus. The princess he once yearned for had, together with the high tower in which she lived, plunged into a stagnant slumber in which there were no dreams, and so she remained untainted by him. Narcissus was infuriated by this, and so he sent out his minions and forces to scour the empire for her treasure. He set up many defensive mechanisms using his fell sorceries to prevent those, on the side of justice, from resisting him. He swore that he would reclaim the princess's treasure and awaken her. That way he would be able to claim her wholly for his own. There was a group of heroes who protected a treasure that the princess had entrusted to them. a clear, bright pearl of water. One day a tiny life was born from this pearl. Hmm. And what shall we call this life? What a pain. If I had known about that this was how the story might go, I should have used your name here. Do you have any other good friends? Friends, you say? Well, that's what you need. I do have one. I think it would really fit here. Anna. Heroes Tea Party. Even non-assistant champions would need to rest for a short time along the adventuring road. When the clock sounded, many champions and mages, knights and evil dragons, all forgot for a time the imprisoned princess and the treasures of the domains. The dark clouds that shrouded the distant kingdom's skies temporarily faded away, and the princess amid her agonized wait would turn her gaze from her window. And when the knights depart, so too must the adventure be put on hold. This is the universal rule. The Narcissan champions follow, and many other tiny worlds do as well. If one must ask why, then it is because the refreshments made by the vice director are far too delicious. It was a gloomy afternoon, but that phrase seems to have little meaning. For the new home she was going to was one that would not see the light of either sun or moon. Here the first person she met was the tall, pure director. Red Queen. Red Empress? And though she was even less sure of what to do than the little girl, she still greeted her with an embrace, and got her clothes soaked for the trouble. There's a little hint. The vice director was old enough to be the girl's mother. Taking the girl by the hand, she brought her amongst the resting champions, knights and evil dragons. She thought that this was quite all right. In any case, the refreshments really were delicious. Foul Dragon's Monocle. The heroes of different stories would naturally find different expedient holy swords, and they must also face different nemeses. But it is oft said that heroes who live too long live to become the evil dragon. And when many stories cross paths, perhaps one side's hero is another side's dragon. The tale that finally emerges will trend toward narratives that are easier to grasp, which is why heroes are heroes and not evil dragons. That is why, for all their strength and schemes, the evil dragons will ultimately be defeated by the heroes wielding their holy swords. And before the dragon falls into the chasm that dissolves all things, he will think of the times he once spent with the hero. And at last he will say, "Yes, hatred shall not fill me. I know that you have not seen the sights I have, and that is why you wish to stop me. The star beast shall drink the amniotic fluid of the world dry. 100 years from then, all life on its surface shall be wiped away." Star beasts. Fucking all-devouring narwhal. I will surely return to save all souls. 10 years, even 100 years may pass, but I shall be reborn as a new universe. But the hero victorious over the dragons will also lose the thing most precious to him during the hunt. He will never again believe in anything that the sum of human knowledge cannot completely grasp and understand. And to the end of his days he shall conceive of a kingdom powered by machines and energies not derived from the elements. Is this in lore in here? Alright. This is Varkasha's Glow. Stamens of Gvarna's origin. An insignia in the shape of a lovely little flower that was once worn by pilgrims in times long bygone. A vibrant opinion. An exquisite feather-shaped decoration on which the vivid hues of verdant leaves and fragrant flowers shimmer. Ancient Obsession. An ancient timepiece upon which the light of Kvarna gleams, It is filled with a pure liquid that appears alive. Feast of boundless joy, an opulent wine goblet that was once filled with nectar and honeydew, but is empty today. Heart of Kavarna's brilliance, intricate and vibrant earrings, upon which the luster of 100 flowers seems to flow. Alright. Starman of Kvarna's origin. My innocent daughter, my Kvarna, I shall give you unto another mother. Love her, and be loyal to her. She is no less than I, and her light is yet more radiant than mine. I once encountered a faceless nightmare in my dreams, and it frightened me to no end, and so I separated you from my body. And I ask you now to prevent that nightmare's coming. My Kavarna, the light of my eyes. I once warned her of the coming of the dark tide, and it is from this that your destiny arises. Please do not be afraid, and do not flee. Do not let your Kavarna dim, and do not disgrace your mother. Just as it is my fate to sacrifice myself for mortals, so too is sacrifice the beautiful prelude to new life. Go now into your verdant mother's embrace. You shall find your destiny in her realm. My Kvarna, my pure daughter, you shall change utterly. You shall face the trial of division and death, and after that you shall become immortal. And yet that shall be a harder road still. The Lord of sweet dew and the Lord of grass and trees shall precede you in losing their divine forms. They shall be forgotten, and only the memory of your sacrifice will be remembered. My Kvarna, daughter of flowers, if you are resolved to not retreat out of fear, then throw yourself into the embrace of your new mistress. This is probably Egeria, and she's separating herself, and she's calling her other self Kvarna and her daughter. I wish we see the Havestockum. The fucking blue tree. Vibrant pinion. In a time no one remembers, the night before the sandstorm of tragedy swept through paradise, the flowers and the trees once spoke of the mortal realms, their hopes and their desolate future. The ones who must not be approached brought about the great death, and the dark tide ravaged the raw riverbanks, only for the newborn plants and beasts to unite with mortals and push the rolling sinister waves back. In the loathsome years after she had broken off ties with the Lord of the Red Sands, the Queen of Grass and Trees forged Kvarna into a divine bird. Now, Kvarna is a divine bird, of course, yes. Charging her with the protection of two worlds, with the guardianship of the border between new birth and death. The divine bird lived amongst the pines, the cypresses, and snow lotuses, and slumbered in dreams that record a time when the covenant still endured. It was only when disaster came that she awakened, and went to her inevitable doom. Later, just as that person had prophesied sadly, a deathly silent gloom would permeate the rainforest. Just as that covenant fellow had warned, the tides of dark beasts swarmed forth and swept through newly birthed forests. The former leader of the realm of water was slain amidst the upheaval, and her body was transformed into a sea of pure dew, the Amrita. From this line, the former leader of the realm of water, Egeria, was slain and transformed into a sea of pure dew, the Amrita. And yet even the pure sea would dry up in a desolate land destroyed by the abyss. Yet the mistress of grass and trees had no time to mourn, for the mother tree of numberless seeds needed to be nurtured, to cleanse the dark impurities and ensure the purity of the Amrita. Simirk would shatter its divine form. All beautiful things born from the caverna of flowers must face their fate, to wither and fall into the mud. And once they withered, they shall be reborn, nourished by the Amrita, as beings of the flowery sea, no longer troubled by such things as death. Ancient obsession. I shall give you a shot of Kavarna, my friend. Keep her close and keep her safe. She comes from the wisdom of the flowers and the veins of the skies, and in her is the pure essence of joy. Kavarna is a point in the flower's heart, a single drop of light in a sea of sweet dew. Please treasure my gift, until the day when the dark abyss rises to drown all life. The leaves and flowers passed a distant fable between them, and it was remembered by the fruits and seeds. When the mistress of flowers had withered into dust, when the master of the desert had been led astray by a false dream.
You know what? Maybe I'll try read the Fontanian ones as well. But we'll have like a little break in the middle a little bit to rest my voice. When the tyrants had been buried beneath the ever-shifting dunes, and their ambitions were extinguished, then all that had come from the soil was returned to the golden sands, and that which had come from the flowing wind was given order to the rainforest. The queen of the grass and trees watched the world change quietly, remembering her earnest covenant with those who had fallen. Please protect Kvarna for me, my companion, my friend whom I love. When we are gone, the mortals shall wander, lost like infants, newly taken from their swaddling, fragile yet sufficiently strong to conquer the wild winds. The searing flames and their own imperfections. But that which I fear is not the disasters I can predict, but rather the chaotic darkness. Only the evil of this darkness and the threat of death can crush the buds. When the gilded sand had devoured the paradise of the past, the queen of trees and grass arose to fulfill that ancient agreement. Heeding the will of the Kvarna, she created for her a beauteous form, fashioning for her a life that was lovely beyond compare. That was Simurgh, the divine bird, in whose form could be seen the vivid hues of countless birds, and in whose song was the song of numerous flowers. The final dream of the oasis was gathered into one body, and transformed into the pure, bright, endless sea of flowers hidden within the divine bird's body. But didn't Samaric break? To cleanse the dark impurities and ensure the purity of the Amrita, Samaric would shatter its divine form. Oh, feast of boundless joy. After the mistress of the orchid passed, and the queen of grass and trees cut ties with the sea of sand. Forsaking mad love and majesty, she chose to return to the rainforest and take up the path of defending life. Thus did new life emerge from the forest. Thus did the sages make a stir, and thus was a home fashioned. Wild fantasy leads to inexorable death, and the metaphor of death cautions mortals. The Kvarna of the flowers were born of the most exuberant of banquets and the purest of delights. And within them was not to be found the tartness of asceticism, or the rank stench of authority. Her final fate was inescapable death, to wither and dry up. Only the Lord of Wisdom could learn from such, so as to properly safeguard and use it. But do not forget my great mistress's prophecy, for it was she who sent me unto you. Folly shall yet not kill mortals, but the wild tide of darkness from beyond this world will sweep all away still. I am the final remnant of my mistress. I am the floral essence that cleanses all. Should I join with the purest water, I shall burst, even as the pomegranates do, into countless rays of light. And thus was the divine bird Simurgh, born from the Kvarna of the flowers, staying by her master's side for a time before flying to the flowery sea. Simurgh was born from Kvarna. Heart of Kvarna's embrace, my dear friend, you who are so wise yet passed early, amidst glorious legends lurks the gloom of oblivion, just as life walks with death,
and forgetting is the lover of remembrance. If the darkness of death did not threaten it, no life would have any importance. If the waters of forgetfulness did not surge against them, there would be no histories worth recording. In the age-long past, the Queen of Grass and Trees once did as her friend had entrusted, granting the Kavarna flowers to the divine bird's form, giving her charge over the defense of her part of the rainforest. And just as the fate of the fresh flower is to wither, Zimeric's fate was to sacrifice. The nurturer of all things verdant had known this since the night she slept beside the Lord of Flowers. And so the verdant divine bird blossomed into countless Kavarna flowers, scattering across the land like hoopos. The Kavarna fell upon the pure remains of the Amrita's mistress, and thus was a glimmering sea of flowers born. Many spirits dwell in the sea, and they carry the wishes of grass, tree, and dew, cleansing all filth. Many spirits dwell in the sea, and they sing of the three mothers, of verdure, of sweet dew, and fresh flowers. One night, the daughter must leave the embrace of the three mothers and sacrifice herself, for the impurity of the world grows great. Three mothers. I can only think of Goddess of Flowers, Rukadavada, and Jiria. So they all had a pact, huh? That's why I can't really understand who's Kavarna's mother. Is it the Goddess of Flowers? Say, Kavarna, daughter of flowers. Kavarna is known to be a bird of flowers, or verdure, or verdance. So that's why I'm thinking that maybe Kavarna is born from Goddess of Flowers. Anyway, let's have a little break. Break. Now rest my voice. We'll do this. Because next time is new patch time. And I think I'm gonna do Alakino Story Crest immediately. Alright.
投降しろ。モラをいただきますわ。最後の警告だ。動くな。
I kind of remember that there was something around here that I wanted to investigate. Ah, yes. It's like around here. Oh, God, where was it? Did I mark out on the map? It looked like a painting spot. Well, one of Celsa's paintings, my guess, maybe not. I can't remember where the fuck it was. Shit. Oh.
これは必要な武力だ。モラをいただきますわ。おいだ。武器を捨てろ。最後の警告だ。モラをいただきますわ。これは必要な武力だ。動くな。最後の警告だ。法の裁きを受けてこい。
It's damn lag.
動くな。投降しろ。最後の警告だ。モラをいただきますわ。腕の出すところですの。
So many explosions.
動くな。モラをいただきますわ。これは必要な武力だ。武器を捨てろ。なんかごめんな。魔法のランプよ。最後の警告だ。法の裁きを受けてこい。モラをいただきますわ。武器を捨てろ。
Okay, that'll do. Let's see. I think it might have been around here. Maybe also around here. God, it's plaguing me. Yeah, can't remember. Oh well, I guess it'll be a mystery. God damn it. Let's get my dailies done. Ah, no. Let's start with Pudgy Totem Power Techniques. Motherfucker. No, it doesn't matter. Fuck off. Come on, I wasn't even near. What the fuck is that noise? Where's his face? Can't see his face. Now is this chubby crisis. Fend them off.
think that counts as like... That doesn't count as anything? I thought it would have counted something for the daily commission. But I guess not. Spreading evil. Oh yeah, there's also some domains that I haven't done. That's right. I could just do those.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. And last commission. Then I'll continue with the books. I mean, yeah, artifacts. Hey, Anna. Oh, so that's how it is. Brother, do you know what these plants can do aside from being edible? How am I supposed to know that? I just know where you can find them and whether you can eat them or not. Huh. Then I guess I should go check them out myself. Don't worry. I'm just gonna go gather some plants. I won't go anywhere near those monsters. Oh. Just be careful, will ya? I know. Well, I'll be a little bit late back today then. Still training, Anna? How's your training coming along? Hey there, traveler. Great timing.
I was just planning to go out to observe some plants. Cyrus told me that adventurers will often camp out in the wilds, where foraging is a very important skill. As such, I'm planning to go investigate some wild plants, check out their features and characteristics, and then commit them to memory slowly.
Yeah, you can buy a book and read it from there. They have a library full of books, you know.
That way I'll at least know what I can and cannot eat out there in the future. However, I don't think that pure writing is going to be very intuitive. Traveler, I've heard that you have a gadget known as a camera. Is that true? If so, could you help me snap some photos of a few plant species in their natural habitats?
Sure.
Nice. In that case, could you get me photos of calla lilies, smoked lampgrass, and cecilias? After that, please help me gather these 3 plant species. I'd like to keep them as samples. Images of these plants in their natural habitats, live specimens, and detailed descriptions. The botany section of my handbook looks to be in pretty good shape. Alright then, traveler. I'm counting on you. The spring in Springvale plays host to large numbers of calla lilies, while small lampgrass is common in Wolvendom. As for Cecilia's, it's gotta be Star Snatch Cliff. I'll continue my own plant observations elsewhere in the meantime. Once you've got the pictures, let's meet up in the city.
She's not really trying to become an adventurer, is she? I have a feeling she is. You know, people that live in the city won't actually do this unless they're planning to go out for an activity.
Here are calla lilies. Time to take a picture for Anna.
Well, you can't take these ones. Guess I'm gonna have to take out my camera. Camera has been adjusted to the correct angle.
Let's picture screen away. Let's count these calla lilies.
Freshly picked calla lily. A freshly picked calla lily, suitable for being used as a specimen.
That's where you can find small lampgrass. Let's picture screen away. Let's go and link us real quick and go back to Anna.
A freshly picked small lab grass, suitable for being used as a specimen. Pretty sure the descriptions will just be as basic as that. Don't really have to read it, but yeah, man. Thought you were chill. It's like, hey, it's just walking right beside me. Yeah, Cecilia, let's just take a peek over there.
What's she doing? Let's go back and look for Anna.
Well, let's see. Description's the same. Freshly picked Cecilia with a pleasant fragrance. Wait, it's a bit different. Suitable for being used as a specimen. It's not suitable for being used as a specimen? Seems like it. No. Report back to Anna. Marvin Sharp. Okay. Hello.
You're back, traveler. How are things gone? Did you manage to get those pictures?
I wonder where Anna went, and could you have actually encountered her in the wild? Pictures and samples. Got them all right here.
Wow, that was super fast. I guess that's a seasoned adventure for you, huh? You're amazing. Thank you so much, traveler. Actually, how about this? Let me make you a meal to show my thanks. I guarantee it'll be good.
Anna goes to one side and starts cooking.
Oh, how does it look? Pretty good, huh? I hope you enjoy it. As for me, I'll go write those notes up. As for these plants, I'll go ask Jack if he knows how to preserve plant specimens. As for the Cecilias, I guess they look better in a vase somewhere instead of serving as specimens.
Yeah. A satisfying salad. No, I've yet to encounter a satisfying salad. Yeah, IRL. Okay. Don't have that much time left, but hopefully I can actually do it. To read through the remainder of the artifacts. Let's pick a location. Orkasha Oasis. Maybe I go to the Amrita pool. The pool of Amrita. I was wondering how people knew that this was the previous Hydra Archon. But they got it from the artifact lore. So that's how they knew about it. I thought that
Pari told them. And I just missed it because I wasn't paying much attention. But nah. Now, where can you find a goddamn seat in this place? The How Stockholm. Damn it, stay in there. I can understand why he doesn't want to stay in there. Looks painful for the ankles. Oh well. Archive. Here we go. Marchese Hunter. Hunter's brooch. An ancient emblem that once awarded to those who had made exceptional contributions in battle. Masterpiece's Overture. A portable tool used to adjust the torque on some old-school clockwork machine, has since lost its practical value. Moment of Judgment. A standard pocket watch. Its accuracy is not particularly high. Forgotten Vessel. A portable metal vessel containing strong wine. Can be stuffed into the pocket of an outer coat for ease of access and use. Veteran's Visage. An old mask that can, to some extent, stand in for a face marred by wounds. Its design can vary based on the wounded areas and the user's gender. So someone lost their nose and eye, maybe? Anyway. Hunter's Brooch. This emblem was specially designed and given to those who had, in the past, performed feats of arms in Fontaine's defense. Insignias of this sort were largely symbols of glory, but some awardees would conceal them or consign them to the water. Pursue the phantoms in the dark, expel them all, and hunt them down. Such is the origin of the name Marchese Hunter. Such is the name Marchese Hunter, credited to one Cassiodor. It would be elevated to the revered title of Golden Hunter. But who saw the name as humiliation? Yet heretics and demons are rare, but people who are driven to become heretics and demons are legion. Today, the Marchese Hunter is more focused on investigating criminal activity than battle, and has absorbed into its ranks a large number of Melusines, members of a young race. This emblem once belonged to a Marchese Hunter, who took part in and directed the siege of Poisson. Due to this event, he left the ranks of the Marchese and planned to live out the rest of his days, contented with the contents of his cup. It was not until an old friend requested that he, against his will, try living with others again, that he tried to create a world free of dark phantoms for his son and daughter. At the end, that which welcomed him was a peaceful ocean, one which removed all barriers and estrangements. Masterpiece's Overture. A small tool used to adjust clockwork torque can be used on all manner of clockwork motors. These would become outmoded with the arrival of Elaine Guillotin's new model clockwork mecha, which have themselves ceased to be new following several hundred years of further testing. Now regarding Alain Guillotin. Before he joined, then left the Marchesais Phantom, before finally setting up the Research Institute of Kinetic Energy Engineering. Guillotin organized research into energy at the now ruined Institute of Natural Philosophy. It is said that he, throughout his life, was close to no one but his younger sister. He also served in the Marchesais. There are many legends concerning him. One of them is as follows. It is said that he was able to create a thinking machine during his time at the Institute, and used this machine to aid his sister in her work at the Marchesais. These statements largely come from previous colleagues of his, most of whom died fighting Elenas. And since there was no physical evidence of it, it has never entered official record. Once when asked about this, he commented, "It's a great shame, there's nothing to be said." He has never responded to any questions or inquiries relating to the matter. And now that goes on as such. In his old age, he retired from the Fontaine Research Institute to his workshop, and he would see no one. The research he undertook in his final years was never published, and after the matter, the only things that could be found in his personal workshop were signs that something had been built. In latter years, these legends would function similarly to that work of Coppelius's that could not be performed to completion, stoking imaginations, granting inspiration, and driving ever greater efforts. Yeah. So, seems like Elaine died of old age. Moment of Judgment. This pocket watch was once given to the enforcers of Fontaine's justice. It is not a particularly accurate watch, but it can be used as a badge while on duty, and it was once nigh universally recognized across Fontaine. The news of the great magician, Parsifal, requesting a trial by combat spread via the newspapers, and this demand alongside her unexpected transgression caused quite the furor in the court of Fontaine. The court's agreement and person of choice caused a yet greater uproar. Champion duelist Marfisa was selected as the prosecution's representative in the duel. Would Marfisa's origin disrupt either her judgment or performance during the duel? Whatever her past connection to Parsifal, and most important and most commonly understood, which of them was the stronger fighter? Such were the questions people reveled in discussing. Carl Ingold, a journalist who once knew Parsifal, had since retired, and had resolved to never again take up such work, taking instead the company of explorers and their wilds, their wrecks and their ruins. But perhaps out of professional pride or an old memory, he had always treasured the pictures he took as a journalist. Years later, when answering an invitation to meet old friends sent by the vice director of the Narcissus Kreutz Institute, upon looking at the faces of the other side of the shutters as he took a group picture of the then members of the Narcissus Kreutz Institute, he thought of how he had once passed back and forth between Poisson and the court of Fontaine many times with such hope in his heart. Though several months passed by like a dream, some would consider them too long and others too short. He remembered his younger self, who would not give up, no matter how many people told him to escape, no matter how the circumstances arose like a flood that might end everything and slowly blot out the light. He remembered the many smiles he saw through the viewfinder, all their fanciful thoughts concerning the future he had heard. And afterwards, the cries, sounds of fracturing and metallic clashes that sounded faintly from beyond the stone floor. and as he recalled the girl who used the trick to forcibly shift herself to a dark, safe cavern. Only then did the secret of not having recorded her final battle engulf his vision. He used the trick to forcibly shift herself to a dark, safe cavern. Is that Anna? Or the actual director? Or both? Forgotten vessel. Once this wine vessel belonged to one who rendered a great service to the court of Fontaine. Those who find themselves doing certain work, unless they be born ruthless and cruel, will eventually walk down the path to total collapse should they go without the elixir within. This belonged to one who had to do what had to be done for Fontaine's peace. It was only many years after he retired due to injury during his final investigation that he realized no wonderland lay in welcome down the rabbit hole, only the maelstrom. Memories arose like bubbles from a ruptured diving mask. He thought of his youth, of the games he would play with Dwight, Basil, and Carl. In those days, he always played the hero, and Carl would be Jabberwock, the evil dragon. He thought of the embrace of the director, so dear and familiar, and he felt so similarly in this moment. He recalled the countless faces warped by hate and the crimson flames of Poisson. And then he recalled that he, too, had sent innocent children to the Narcissenkreuz Institute. Narcissenkreuz Institute. In the end, what came clearest to him was that he had felt upon meeting his son and daughter. It was like seeing light at the end of a long tunnel, like seeing himself before he had worn the mask, but much like clinging to a spider's thread futilely in the dark pit of hell. My dear Lane, my dear Marianne, I was never close to you. And even at the end, I do not know how I could be a father to you. But still I do not wish to lose these memories of watching the two of you growing up. When he awoke from his stupor, all glories, all shame, all love and obsession, they had been dissolved in the waters. Ah, said the father of Elaine and Marianne. Veteran's visage. This mask was given to one whose face was wounded in service of the court of Fontaine. It is a replacement for an appalling visage. The glory, or perhaps the shame of an old soldier. Yet even though the scars can be covered, the wounds laid on one's heart will not disappear. If I do not return, I leave those two kids to you, his friend said to him. She with whom he had grown up and served the court of Fontaine together. I've stopped asking you to fight alongside me, she wanted to say, but today the tacit understanding between them was a blank span of years. So long as they didn't discuss it, it was almost as if the Poisson incident had never happened. The Institute might be drowned for certain this time, and things won't be safe without myself and the director. And so it might be better to entrust the children to trustworthy people like yourself and Ingold. His friend explained, seeing the look he was giving her, mute beneath that mask. When I return in triumph, let's invite Lasker and Ingold for a get-together. I'll cook this time. I'll show you a lot my skills. Seeing the suspicion in his eyes, she added this on in a huff. It was her saying, "Hey, I've picked up baking these past few years. The children love it." Well, guess it's goodbye, Guillotine. My dear Manuel. Hope everything goes smoothly on your end. Don't get yourself in trouble now. I do hope that those brats haven't wrecked my Sponsian just yet. Yeah, so she gave the feather to Guillotine. Okay. He had no love of children. Indeed, he wished to have no dealings with anyone. For all seeing people did was remind him that they, too, had red blood flowing within them. But since his old friend was asking this of him, it would help watch over them for now. He just threw the hot potato back at Basil when she returned. I'm not sure if I have the time to actually finish all this. Oh well, we'll just go over, I guess. This golden troop. Golden Song's variation. A flower constructed out of clam, mother of pearl, and gold leaf. It blooms proudly. Golden bird shedding. A gold feather made using silver and gold filigree and crystal clear sapphires mounted atop it. Golden era's prelude. This lovely sundial is inlaid with silver and gold. It seems that time has stopped flowing atop its dial plate. Golden Knight's bustle. An ancient silver urn that was once filled with fine wine as red as rubies, now contains nothing but bitter seawater. I can tip it out and just fill it up again. Golden Troop's reward. An ancient crown that resembles a stage prop more than it does some suzerain's headgear. Suzerain? Think like a king royalty. Anyway, Golden Song's variation. The song of fate once wound through the waterways, spreading the harmonious melody of civilization and order. Wherever the notes fell, brutality was replaced by enlightenment, and disordered primordial land had all but been completely transformed. The mighty sea wind rolled across, and the rootless water lilies floated along with it. In a tribal dwelling as short-lived as seagrass, a young musician met a warrior. Amidst the poems of conquest that are as many as the stars themselves, this song is not that noteworthy, but the waves bore witness to the friendship between the warriors, and also foretold the end. The young musician had yet to be rid of the vulgar passions of the barbarians, and became fast friends with the servant, one of the conquered. That servant's name no one remembers, but in latter days the moniker Cassiodor will become famous the world over. That name sounds familiar. Later, the young warrior would follow the youthful musician to Golden Capitolium, the highest city in the Golden Capital, where they completed the rigorous courses and trials, and were elevated to the Golden God King to become prideful masters. Pride blooms upon the breasts of the citizens of this glorious kingdom as a golden flower. No more poverty or savagery shall there be beneath the God King's sweeping gaze. Pride is the shield of the realm's honor, and it is the spear tip with auric radiance. It defends the God King's unsurpassed authority. Only under the command of such authority can order be born. And where order reigns, art and beauty can bloom free. In the beautiful golden land, weakness, folly, and savagery will never be accepted or defended. Such things may submit or be destroyed. My friend, my brother, do not hanker for that impoverished past, and let not your mind linger on the false lowly dignity of those people of bygone times. Have you forsaken that simple body and feeble spirit that you have become as pure as steel? Why lament the little things so? My friend, my brother, listen to that unchanging melody, the clockwork rhythm of your innermost heart. Thus does the God King whisper to you. The glorious kingdom has eyes only for the perfect world of the future, and this future will, for the people of bygone times, play the final song for their inevitable destruction. Golden bird shedding. When the sea breeze ebbed, the pink glow of dust suffused the skies. The seabirds never tarried where the 1,000 masts were anchored, leaving only scattered feathers in their wake. The once harmonious and magnificent symphony had its closing moment, just as no empire may rule in peace forever. As the water's expanded power brought not only progress and order, but arrogance, violence, and exploitation also. In the distant city of the people of bygone times, in the valley of the hidden exiles, even at the foot of Mount Capitolium, the noble musicians who tuned the strains in the army of iron in glimmering mail came to take everything from the people. Those who were yet unconquered, and the mighty who had yet to have a drop of water taken from them, banded together, swearing to resist to the last. It is as I feared, and it is as I mourned, my brother. While you sang on high, you should have heard the voices of the lowly also. Not all would willingly see their homes and nature stolen from them. Not all can accept their melody. Once you called them the people of bygone times, brother, but even those who pledge loyalty to the past have determination and dignity. They cannot be lightly ignored. We once thought to conquer and dominate others, but how could the glory of our radiant kingdom... Weakness. Weakness. That craven compassion of yours darkens your mind. It has made your heart soft. It has become an exposed weak spot in your back. Should barbarism and ignorance yet linger in Fontaine, poisoning any of its waters, we shall exterminate them. If the savages should wish to join our majestic golden order, then we shall accept them, just as our glorious lord accepted us. But since the Bane dragon Scylla destroyed our towers and slaughtered our musicians, the envenomed feral tribes are no longer worth saving or accepting. And since they are unworthy, they must be purged from the soil and the waters, just as we purged pestilence and wildfires from the land. It was at this very moment that the Golden Era suddenly ceased, plunging down into ceaseless war and rebellion. The throne chamber was filled with cries of conquest and destruction, and the agony of the barbarian tribes, and the God King awoke, startled.
Yeah. Very imperialistic. Hey, Emmanuel? Macron? Wait, what? Golden Era's Prelude. The sea breeze at dawn, rapturous and free, sings this ancient hymn. Time flowed forward no longer, but returned to the past with the singer. Along the waters it flowed, passing the gilded domes of the glorious kingdom. On the soft summer wind it passed through the green manor ringed by towering walls. Whether aristocrats in their light ships, or barbarians brought as captives, all were intoxicated by the music of a beautiful age, immersed in memories. For this was the golden world of abundance, an era of a righteous, glorious king. I came from a puny realm on a lone isle. I was born in a hut, and I grew up in a village built of reeds and grass. When the warriors in their bright mail came to my home, they announced the news of conquest. I was but a mere youth, and I naively followed these towering demigods to the capital. It was by dint of my agile fingers and bright voice that I evaded the fate of bondage. Only after the God King recognized me did I first witness the might of civilization and order. Let my flesh and bone then be utterly changed. Let my name and tribe be forsaken. The world shall know only the name, Boethius. And thus the child born of barbarism moved by the Golden Palace and became a servant of a majestic authority. Like one newborn, he worked to abandon the ancient savage customs and devoured new knowledge. All he did to transform himself into a person of true honor and glory, into a part of this great civilization. For nothing else did he toil, for this was the golden world of abundance, an era of a righteous, glorious king enthroned. Golden Night's bustle. The peaceful sea surged, sending the ship sliding between the silent manor and the temple. Under the pale moonlight, the golden dome that had seemed so glorious in the daytime lost its luster. The God King awoke with a start from his majestic dream. The clear starlights had fled. Violence and estrangement formed a darkness deeper than darkness, shrouding the great dome.
In terror and remorse did he summon to him his most loyal guards and his most attuned musicians, and he gave them his final orders, intending to bring peace back to the fractured lands. Yet just as a flood unleashed cannot be held back, the deeply ingrained arrogance and prejudice could not be reversed in a night, and crushed the Harmosts and rulers. All the nobles' sacrifices, all the unselfish plans, all fell to ruin at the hands of the wicked. And all came crashing down in the end. Whether the barbaric armies of the fell dragon prince, or the god king determined to the last to save the empire, they were swept away by an inexorable storm. Even the luxurious palace and the jade green manor were consigned to destruction together. Without the guiding golden song, the once noble people of the glorious kingdom transformed into disfigured golems. Oh, without the song, the people of the capital, the golden capital, transformed into golems. When the final cacophony of the golden night faded to calm, the Harmost Boethius lay amidst the rubble. Only the rubble heard his insensate mumblings, and only the debris recorded the sin of treachery. In a moment of madness, he betrayed us all. Order will not easily change, nor will human hearts. Golden Troop's Reward. In the solemn silence of the sea's depths, the towering city of the glorious kingdom once stood, and there, like the sad ghost of a mighty ancient dream, there stands a faded golden castle. The majestic opera of that golden era has ended, and its harmonious united music no longer echoes. Upon the wreckage of ambition and betrayal, the people of bygone times built a realm anew. Woe to the perfect order that has once again been trampled by barbarity. The weak and benighted have overtaken the empire's ancient lands. The spirits and the springs and the chevaliers, the ravings of children have replaced the epic poems. Slipshod ditties have supplanted music. The eternal majesty was ruined by a moment of the God King's madness, and the resurgent savages scorn its memory. Must great realms be reclaimed by savagery in the end? In the end, shall folly and ignorance prevail over civilization and reason? Upon the golden theatre, in that fated castle, thus did musicians who had lost their score cry lamentation for a past that would never return. And the silent, famished golems listened, waiting to hunt and devour the innocent souls. When the great golden symphony plays once more, the golden troop will receive the rightful rewards owed to the true and loyal. When the perfect order separates humanity into master and servant, prosperity and beauty shall make the kingdom glorious once more. Abide until that day, when every member of the golden troop shall win the whole future as their prize.
Okay. Now, no, should I leave this? Maybe I should leave it. Can already feel my voice straining. I'll begin to strain. Anyway, before we leave off, there is a special event, which I'm not sure if it will activate here. We'll see. Oh, I think it's working. Yeah, it works. but I'll do it after I exit the game. Okay, see, mail. Ah, Yolan's birthday. A few fresh flowers. I recently tossed the dice on a whim and rolled growing flowers off the list. Now, since having a bit more color around the house couldn't hurt, I picked up a few sprigs from the flower market. But not long after I potted them, a pile of hard-to-crack cases ended up on my desk. I was tied up for months. I barely even had time to water them more than a few times. I assumed they'd be far too parched to flower, but they turned out to be more resilient than I thought, and stubbornly budded. I guess the old saying, fearlessly the petals vie, the biting cold they deny, was inspired by tenacious little flowers like these. Premium teas are already brewed, so if you'd like to admire them with me, better hurry up. Better hurry. She gave us some tea leaves? Let's see if we can do the survey. Paimon thinks it's time for a survey. If only I can see the thing. Why's it taking so long to load? Okay, you know what? Screw the survey. Okay. That works. Phantom of the Night. Now ominous. Anyway, let's begin.
Finally, we're in! Why did we scale the wall again? The front door was wide open.
It's voiced. I did not expect that.
So this is supposed to be the mansion where the treasure is, huh? There's nothing here but dust and not a single lamp is lit. You sure you didn't get taken for a ride?
I mean, there's a lamp right there.
Yes, you idiot, I'm sure. This was exclusive intel, and I paid good money for it. So keep your head in the game. This is our only chance to make it big. I've got everything ready. We'll make a fortune this time. You'll see.
This house is pretty fancy, I'll give you that. It makes you wonder, what sort of person lives here?
Whoever they are, looks like they aren't home. Let's have a look inside. But stay on your toes.
Maybe they're already dead.
Ugh, ew. What's this liquid on the floor?
Blood.
It's on the windowsill, too. You don't think
No,
it's
Click to crouch and investigate.
It's mostly dried out, but... yep. It's definitely...
Definitely.
There's a key here. Is it for that door?
Point and click adventure. I wouldn't mind it. Try opening the door.
Thought so. Come on, we better move quick. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this place.
Oh, what happened there?
I can't see a thing in this dark. Let's light the candles.
Inazuma armor? They're gonna get a buff?
Hey, the gemstone on this guy's necklace has got to be worth something. Finders keepers. You go get it.
Finders keepers. More.
Looks like he's... Why do I have to get it?
Yeah, he's dead.
Whatever. The gem will sell just fine. Let's grab a few more things and get out of here. Oh yeah, I smell treasure. Why is it still so dark, though? Get those candles lit!
Something's not right. This place has been cleaned. And recently...
Hey, it's lighting itself. Oh.
Good evening, you two.
Does she have her own picture installed there?
Who are you?
Who I am is not important, but the fact that I'm here is. You'll be leaving empty-handed tonight.
Well, at least they'll be leaving, right? Alive, right?
Says who, huh? We ain't afraid of you. Come on, let's get her.
Don't you find this whole situation strange? All this wealth, with no one to guard it.
She's giving me the creeps. Run!
Ah,
Avarice is a deadly vice. Even sheer indifference is preferable to greed. Good night, gentlemen.
holy shit. That's it? God dang. Play again. Nice little story. But yeah, that's it. What's this? Oh yeah, teaser. But yeah, well that's it from me. Catch you guys next time. It won't be Audible, it'll be her story quest. Yeah. Audible just has 2 more artifacts. I'm gonna grind out the artifact set of the new domain. Then maybe I can have another Audible. Alright. Peach, I guess.